The year was 1889, and the snow hadn't yet come. But the wind carried its warning, cold and raw, whispering over the empty plains like a ghost still searching for home. James Boone had just finished mending the south gate when he heard the knock. It was soft, 3 taps, spaced like a child afraid to disturb, but too desperate not to try. He wiped his hands on his coat and opened the door. 2 children stood on his porch, dwarfed by the wide sky and the silence. The girl was maybe 5, dark curls wild from the wind, her cheeks raw and windburned, but her spine straight. She held a small white puppy bundled in a burlap shawl. Beside her stood a boy, no older than 3, silent with solemn eyes, one hand gripping his sister's dress like a lifeline. The girl blinked up at him. Her voice was a whisper, half swallowed by the breeze. "Can you buy our puppy? Mama's real sick. We don't got no food left." James didn't answer. Not yet. His hand tightened on the doorframe while his eyes searched theirs, unsure what world he'd just stepped into. The wind tugged at the boy's collar. The puppy whimpered once, then settled. James stepped back. "Come in." The girl nodded and shepherded her brother over the threshold, as if she had done it 100 times before, walking into strange rooms carrying the weight of someone else's silence. James shut the door behind them. The warmth of the stove cast long shadows across the worn floorboards. Inside, the ranch house was clean but plain, wooden walls the color of dust, a fireplace flickering low, and a single armchair molded to the shape of one man's life. "You hungry?" James asked. The girl hesitated. "We're okay." "You ain't," he said softly. "Sit." He poured milk into tin cups and cut thick slices of bread. The boy didn't speak, but his eyes never left the puppy, now nestled safely in his lap. The girl thanked James with her eyes before taking a cautious sip. James watched them eat, watched how carefully they handled the bread, as if afraid it might vanish. Their clothes were frayed, their boots too big. He didn't ask their names. Not yet. Names made things permanent. Kneeling beside the hearth, he asked, "Where is your mama?" "Down by the river," the girl said. "In a wagon. She's got fever." "You alone out there?" She nodded. "We come 'cause she couldn't." There was something in the way she said it. Not fear, but resolve. The way a child grows old too fast when nobody else has the strength to keep standing. "I'll go with you," James said, rising. "We'll see what we can do." The children followed him wordlessly. The sky was beginning to bruise with dusk, the horizon bleeding amber and coal. Down past the tree line, tucked near the dry creek, stood a crooked wagon with a ripped canvas flap. The horse was gone. No smoke, no sound, just the hum of wind through brittle grass. James approached slowly, his boots crunching frostbitten leaves. The girl climbed up first, turned, and gestured him inside. A woman lay curled on a straw bed. Blankets covered most of her face, but not enough to hide the sunken cheeks, the dry lips, the fevered flush rising up her neck. One hand trembled on her chest. Her breathing was shallow, fluttering like something about to slip away. James knelt beside her. That's when he saw the scar, a small crescent moon beneath her left eye. For a moment, James forgot how to breathe. "Millie?" The name tangled in his throat like barbed wire. His fingers shook as he brushed the blanket back from her face. 10 years. 10 years since she had left him without a word. 10 years of silence, of questions, of wondering what he did wrong. He'd heard rumors that she'd married rich, headed west. Some said she died, some said she ran off with a preacher. He never chased the truth. Pride wouldn't let him, pain kept him put. But here she was, burning up in the bones of a wagon with 2 half-starved children and a puppy offered as currency. She stirred faintly, lips moving soundlessly, lost to fever dreams. James rose sharply and stepped outside, unable to let her see him before he understood what any of it meant. The girl was waiting, watching him with the same dark, solemn eyes. "She's been real tired," the girl said. "Sometimes she talks to folks that ain't there." James crouched. "What's your name?" "Millie." His gaze shifted to the boy. "Toby. How long you been traveling?" "Since spring." "And your ma? She ever talk about a place called Lone Elm?" Millie nodded. "She said it used to be the only place she felt like breathing." James swallowed hard. "All right, we'll bring her back now." Not yet, but it felt true in that moment, like something he had been needing to believe for too long. Behind him, the puppy padded softly into the room and leapt gently onto the bed. It curled at Millie's feet as if it had always known where it belonged. The wind outside picked up again, but inside, something quieter began to settle. That was when James saw it, etched faintly on Millie's hand, a ring-shaped scar, a band of iron long since removed, and in that instant, he knew. Whoever she had been forced to marry, whatever past had claimed her, it hadn't won, not entirely, not forever. The frost clung to the windows like lace that morning, delicate, half-faded, as if the house itself couldn't decide whether to welcome warmth or keep guarding its cold. James stirred the fire with the quiet hands of a man used to waiting for things that never came. Behind him, Millie's breath had steadied, not whole, not yet, but no longer skimming the fragile line between here and gone. She had been asleep for nearly 2 days. In that time, the children had begun to treat the place like something halfway safe. Millie helped fold blankets, always watching the corners of the room as if expecting them to vanish. Toby followed James silently, his small boots padding behind him like a shadow, wide-eyed, the puppy at his toe. It wasn't the kind of healing you noticed in words, but in gestures, the way the girl leaned closer to the fire's warmth, the way the boy let go of her hand for a little longer each day, small cracks forming in the ice. And still, James said almost nothing. He worked, he brewed tea, he listened to the wind, he told himself it was patience, maybe it was fear. On the 3rd day, near dusk, Millie woke. The glow from the hearth caught the outline of her face, hollowed, yes, but unmistakably hers. Her eyes fluttered open with the wary confusion of someone who no longer trusted dreams to be kind. James stood in the doorway. She saw him. Her throat moved, but her voice did not follow. At last, she looked toward the fire. "You're still here," she managed. "I am." Her eyes welled up, but she blinked the tears away before they could fall. "I didn't think. I thought maybe I'd made you up." "You didn't." Millie sat up slowly, one hand gripping the quilt. She turned her face toward him like someone expecting judgment, maybe mercy. What she found instead was silence, not the cold kind, the kind that waits unarmed. "I should explain," she whispered, voice low, each word scraped raw, "but I'm not sure you'll want to hear it." James sat in the chair beside the bed, his hands folded like he was praying, though he didn't know how. "I've waited 10 years, Millie," he said quietly. "I can wait another 10 minutes. A sad, small smile crossed her lips. "I left because they made me. My father said if I didn't marry that banker, he'd see you jailed over the land papers he forged in your name. Said he'd burn your name so deep into the dirt no one would hire you again." James blinked once, but his body didn't move. "I didn't think you'd survive it if he did. You didn't even know. You didn't know how bad he hated you. Thought he just hated that I loved you. He hated that you were poor, that you had no people, no name, and that I looked at you like you were everything." She looked down at her thin hands, the knuckles sharp beneath skin. "He made me pack the next morning. I wasn't even allowed to write you. Said if I ever tried, he'd send someone to finish what he started. I married that man before winter." James stared into the fire. His voice came out rough, gravel wrapped in cloth. "And after he died, 2 years ago, he never hit me, but he didn't need to. He kept us like livestock, moved us town to town so no one could get close. I didn't even have my own name on paper. I tried to make it look like I wanted that life, for the kids, but when he died, the only thing I felt was that the ground stopped shaking beneath me." She looked at James fully now. "I came back here because I didn't know where else felt real." He nodded once. "You could have come to me. I didn't think I had the right." James leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his eyes still locked in the firelight. "They came to my door with a puppy, said you were sick. I didn't send them." "I know." The wind howled low and long outside. Somewhere beneath it, the puppy barked once before Millie hushed him with a soft touch. Inside, something broke, without sound. "I still love you, James." The words sat between them like a plate left at a stranger's table. He didn't answer, not then. Instead, he rose slowly and walked to the kitchen. She watched him disappear around the corner, the soft pad of his boots the only sound. When he returned, he carried a bowl of stew, fragrant and steaming. He placed it gently into her hands without a word. then sat again. "You'll stay here," he said at last, "till you're better." Millie looked at the bowl as if it were a crown. "I don't want to bring shame on you." "You didn't." "I might." "I ain't scared of shame. I've been alone too long to fear what folks think." He stood, then paused. "And neither should you." The next morning came painted in pale gold. Millie had enough strength to rise and sit at the table. Millie poured her tea, and Toby crawled into her lap as though he'd always belonged there. For the first time, she smiled like someone who believed she might smile again tomorrow. The days passed in the slow rhythm of recovery. Millie shelled beans. James chopped firewood. Neither mentioned the things between them that still sat like coals under ash. The town hadn't said much yet, but Lone Elm had long memories and longer tongues. On the 6th day, the sheriff came. He rode up quiet, as if not to stir guilt unless it needed to be found. James met him at the gate. "Trouble?" "Maybe." Sheriff Hartman adjusted his hat. "Had a wire come in. Banker's estate claimant. There's unfinished business tied to Millie Wynn. Says she disappeared with 2 minors. Executives threatening custody filings." James didn't flinch. "She didn't disappear. She came home. Doesn't matter to them. She's safe here." "James, I don't doubt that, but the law don't always care about safety, only papers." James glanced toward the porch, where Millie sat brushing the puppy's coat. Inside, she was teaching Toby how to fold linens. None of it looked dangerous, and yet it all felt as fragile as glass beneath a boot heel. "They want to take the kids." "They'll try. You'll need to make this place legal. Make her legal here, or give me cause to stop digging." The sheriff tipped his hat. "I got a week before they send someone meaner." That night, James stood under the stars, the old ache in his chest stirring again. Millie stepped onto the porch, a shawl wrapped around her shoulders, her breath visible in the cold. "Trouble?" she asked. "Always." "What is it?" "They want to take your kids." Her breath caught, eyes wide. "They can't," James said firmly. "Not if they're mine, too." She stared at him as if he'd spoken in a language she used to know, but had long forgotten how to trust. "You'd marry me, after everything?" "I waited 10 years, Millie." She stepped down the porch slowly, her hand hovering near his, not touching, just close enough to feel the heat. "What if it's too late?" James looked at her, really looked. "It's only too late if we stay afraid." From the window, Millie watched them. Toby slept curled on the floor, the puppy beside him. The fire inside glowed warm and orange. James spoke again, softer this time. "Tomorrow we ride to town. I got no flowers, no rings, but I got an aim, and I'd give it to you if it meant you could breathe again." Millie's eyes brimmed, but no tears fell. "Then I'll take it," she whispered, "not because I'm weak, but because I want to be strong beside you." James looked up at the stars. For once, they didn't feel so far away. Behind them, a soft rustling in the trees broke the stillness.
If this tale moved you, if you felt the tension, the heartbreak, and the triumph, please support our channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more thrilling, emotional, and inspiring stories your way. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Do you believe dogs have an extraordinary sixth sense? Share your thoughts and personal stories with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.